Hello, Honors Math 2. We're going to spend the first day of these two last days we have together reviewing some properties of exponents. I'm just trying to think of things that will help you next year in Honors Math 3, and I'm thinking properties of exponents and some factoring practice is probably the best way to spend these last couple days. Alrighty, if you want a quick review, list them on your, I'm going to use this sheet that we have as notes and homework. So I'll do a few and then you'll finish the rest for homework. So here's some properties of exponents if you just kind of want to have it as a reference, something to take with you. Remember that when you multiply two things with the same base, x to the m times x to the n, if we multiply with the same base, we add those exponents, that's x to the m plus n. But if we raise something to a power, that's when we multiply those exponents. That's going to be x to the m times n. If we divide two things with the same base, you would subtract those exponents, x to the m minus n. What else? Remember, anything to the 0 power is 1. If you have a negative exponent, x to the negative m power, negative exponent, we call it like a reciprocal, it moves. So if this is x to the negative m, that's the same as its reciprocal, 1 over x, and that exponent becomes positive when it moves to the denominator. Or if you ever had a negative exponent in the denominator, again, it's a reciprocal, so if it's in the denominator, it's going to move up and become positive. It becomes x to the positive n power. Alright, so I don't know if that helps to have those handy. But again, I'm just going to go through a few of these, and the rest you can finish on homework. At least you'll have something to look at. Where did I want to start? With a couple little properties. Look at number 3. If we simplify number 3, remember you'll multiply those coefficients. 4 times 2. And then when I multiply r to the negative third times r to the positive second, think about what you would do with those exponents. I'm going to add those exponents, so that's r to the negative 1. But then when I have a negative exponent, that moves to the denominator. It's like a reciprocal and becomes positive. So that's 8 over r to the first, which is just 8 over r. Alrighty. Certainly can fill in some gaps. I'm going to look at number 6. Feel free to try it first if you want to pause. Think about what you would do first for number 6. I'm going to multiply those coefficients. So 2 times 2, which is 4. When I multiply x to the third times x to the negative 1, I could move that down, but since the bases are the same, I'm just going to add those exponents. Becomes x to the second. Bases are the same for the y's, so I'm going to add those exponents, negative 3 plus 3, which is 0. And then I recognize this, which is just 1, anything to the 0 power. So really that just comes out to be 4x squared. Alright, I'm just trying to pick some things that are either tricky or just a little sampling of some properties. I'm going to try number 9. It's a good idea to pause if you want and try number 9 on your own and just see if you make any mistakes. Alrighty, I'm going to multiply those coefficients. 4 times 3, which is 12. I'm going to add the exponents on the a, so that becomes a to the negative 1. When I add the exponents on those b terms, b to the negative 1. Both of those are negative exponents, so they're going to move. What I also like to point out, the 12 does not move. I mean, really, the exponent on the 12 is just 1. That's positive. So the 12 stays up, but the negative exponents move down and become positive. A to the first, b to the first. I mean, just silly little things. We do usually write variables alphabetically. So I would certainly write that as 12 over A times B rather than 12 over B times A. So we do write those variables alphabetically. All right. If you want to quiz yourself first, I'm going to look at number 12. Think about what you would do for number 12. I myself would raise everything inside to that power first. You could move that down because it's a negative exponent, but I'm going to raise everything inside to the negative fourth power. So that becomes 2 to the negative fourth times x squared to the negative fourth. Multiply those exponents, gives me x to the negative 8. Now those are negative exponents, so they're both going to, excuse me, they're both going to move down. 1 over 2 to the fourth, x to the positive 8, which is 1 over 2 to the fourth, which is 16, x to the 8th. I'm looking at number 15. Just as a reminder, because some people forget about that 3, I have to raise everything inside to the fourth power. So 3 to the fourth, k to the fourth, to the fourth. So if I raise everything inside to the fourth power, 3 to the fourth, k to a power, I multiply, k to the 16th, and I get, what is that, 3 times 3, which is 9, times 3 is 27, times 3 is 81, 81 k to the 16th. I like number 16. Take a look at number 16. Maybe think about what you might do first. When I have that negative 1 power, I really just, before I raise everything to the negative 1 power and then move it, which you can do, I'm just going to move that whole darn thing. That whole quantity is to the negative 1 power, so if I move it down, that's 4xy, nice positive first power, which doesn't change it at all, and that's just 1 over 4xy. But certainly on a bunch of these we have choices of what we do first. You could have raised everything inside to the negative 1 power, but then you'll move everything down. Alright, so it's really a matter of preference. Alright, I'm going to pause. What did I like on the next one? You'll fill in the gaps for your homework, but I like number 19 as a good review. Again, you know all of these. We're just refreshing our memory. To me, this is a good topic. When you do your homework, try it first. Please spend 15-20 minutes on your homework, try it, and then check the solutions. Alrighty, pause and try number 19 if you would. Again, if I see that negative 1 power, I'm going to move that whole thing down, and that becomes positive. 1 over, what is that? 2x to the fourth, y to the negative 3, all raised to the first power, which isn't going to do anything, so I can get rid of that now, all raised to the first power. But now I notice I do have a negative exponent, and that negative exponent I really want to move up to become positive. End result, y to the third over 2x to the fourth. Alrighty. I don't know if it's tricky or not, but look at 21. How would you rewrite number 21? Only because I know the common mistakes people make is losing that numerator altogether. This is where I ask myself, where do I have more r's, top or bottom? I have more in the bottom, so they're going to end up in the bottom. So what am I left with up top? Just 1. 1 over 2, I have 1 more r in the bottom, so it's going to end up in the bottom. 1 over 2r. Then can you rewrite 22? That negative exponent I want to move down, so I get 1 over because nothing moves up, 1 over 4x to the fourth, but then I move that other x to the first down, which becomes 1 over. Now when I multiply two things with the same base, I'm going to add those exponents, 1 over 4x to the fifth. Alrighty. Can you shift to number 25 and rewrite number 25? Oh, I know why I liked 25. Because people accidentally moved that 3. Notice the exponent on the 3 is simply 1. That coefficient does not move. The 3 stays, just has an exponent of 1. M to the third stays in the bottom. But that m to the negative 4, there's your negative exponent that moves down. This becomes 3 over m to the, add those exponents, 7. Again, good practice just to kind of review all these little picky things that sometimes trip us up. Good practice down here. Again, try them first. Make sure you're trying and then checking your answers. I liked 27. It just looks kind of goofy. You want to try it first. Notice those 4's reduce. So I can get rid of those. Notice x to the 0 power is simply 1. So I can kind of disregard that, just multiplying by 1. Now let's see what stays and see what moves. X to the first in the bottom, so that's going to stay in the bottom. Y to the negative 2 has to move to the bottom. And become positive. Z to the third stays. Z to the third over x, y squared. I always write my variables alphabetical. X, y squared. Alrighty, please finish up the rest if you would, submit it on Canvas, and we have one last video on Thursday. That will be some factoring practice, good old AC method, and a few things, difference of squares, to get you rolling for next year. Alrighty, on that last day of class, I'm going to post the final exam review packet, so hopefully you can work through that anytime over the summer and feel good walking into school next year. Alrighty, thanks for watching.